Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Medical Qigong. My name is Mary Frances, and I am one of Henry Junwa Lee's students. Let's go ahead and get started with our warm-ups. I'm going to try to mirror you. We're going to open up to the left. Our feet are going to be parallel and about hip width, shoulder width apart. Sinking into the space. Tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. We're breathing in and out through the nose. And that's going to be true for most of our practice today, or all of our practice today. Softening the knees, relaxing the low back, relaxing the shoulders. The very top of the head is reaching up into the sky. And then with a loose fist, with the right hand, we're going to start opening up the channels, tapping about 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button. And working our way up the midline of the body. Towards underneath the clavicle. Traveling laterally to underneath the arm. Down the side of the ribs. Back on over to the midline and up. To the very top of the shoulder, down the outside of the arm, back of the hand, and the palm, on up the forearm, to the bicep, very top of the shoulder, slowing down. And then wiping out anything you don't need or want, letting it go back into the earth. Relaxing into the space again. Maybe noticing whether the left side feels a little differently than the right side. And then continuing on, moving along the same path to open up the right side of the body. As we're tapping, we're bringing our mind's awareness, our mind's focus to the area that we're tapping, that we're opening up, waking up. Moving blood and chi. So that it may flow freely. Slowing down. And then wiping out anything you don't need or want. From here, you're simply going to widen the stance, moving that left leg out, keeping the feet parallel. That allows the channels to be open evenly in the front and the back of the body. We're tapping the inner thigh and then up at the hip. Relaxing into the motion. before continuing on, opening up the channels in the legs, widening the stance further, traveling down the inner aspect of the legs towards just above the ankle or wherever it's comfortable for you. You never ever want to move into pain with these exercises. Go ahead and travel to the lateral aspect of the legs, moving back on up with the tapping. Sliding that left foot closer to the right as you come to the hips and the glutes. And coming up to just under the rib cage. Starting to wake up those kidneys, that kidney energy. Resting the palms at the low back, circling down the sides and up the spine. After 9 circles, resting the palms at the low back. And then gently closing the eyes. And from here, we're simply inhaling through the nose, using our mind's eye to guide the breath and the chi to the low back. And as we exhale, allowing that energy to flow to wherever it's needed within the body. Inhaling, guiding the breath and the chi to the low back, allowing it to fill up with energy. And exhaling, allowing that energy to flow to wherever it's needed within the body. A few more times at your own pace, using the mind's eye, the mind intention, to draw the breath and the chi to the kidneys in the kidney area just underneath the rib cage. And then allowing that energy to flow freely to wherever it's needed within the body. And then when you're ready, gently opening the eyes, letting the arms come back down to the sides and closing by bringing that left foot back to the right. Okay, so we are going to go over the Golden 8, the first 5 exercises. We're going to do about 3 of each. If this is your first time joining us, don't worry, you don't have to learn all of them today. All we want to do is start connecting the breath with the body. Go ahead and open up, hip width, shoulder width apart. The breath and the mind intention are the most important parts of these exercises. The form is the fun frosting that goes on the cake. So we're inhaling, guiding the breath and the chi to the breastbone, exhaling down to the lower dantian. Inhaling up to the breastbone, exhaling, palms face the earth, interlacing. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling. Inhaling. And then exhaling. So that's our reach for happiness. Let's do it 3 more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. In and out. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. 2 more times at your own pace, relaxing into the exercise, relaxing into the breath, allowing yourself to flow from one movement to the next. And then closing, bringing that left foot back to the right, opening for our archer exercise for the heart and small intestine. Feet are still parallel. Inhaling, allowing the arms to come up in front of the throat or the breastbone. Exhaling, so we push out to the left, sinking to the right. Inhaling, coming back to center. Exhaling, gaze is at the tip of the middle finger. Inhaling, gaze transferring to the inner wrist. Exhaling. In and out. Inhaling. And continuing on at your own pace. About 2 more times on each side. And maybe 1 more time on each side. And closing. Left foot back to the right. Okay. We're going to be working on our between heaven and earth, spleen and stomach exercise, opening, settling into the space, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling up, the left hand continuing up to the sky, to the heavens. Exhaling, bringing that heaven and earth energy back together. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. Inhaling. This time the right hand traveling all the way up, the left hand against the earth. Exhaling, bringing both hands together along the midline. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling, in and out. Inhaling and exhaling. Continuing on, letting the mind relax into the exercise, relaxing into the breath. If the mind starts trying to wander off, just gently bring it back to the breath, letting it know that now is a perfect time to give it a chance to rest, a chance to relax. About one more time on each side. And then when you're ready, closing, opening for our turn and look back, our Sanjiao triple warmer, triple burner exercise. Inhaling as the shoulders come up, exhaling as the palms go flat against the earth, a little bit of space between the hands and the hips. Inhaling as we turn first to the left, the torso, the head, and then the eyes, releasing the eyes, the head, and the torso. Inhaling now to the right, torso, head, and eyes. Exhaling with the eyes, head, and torso. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. Inhaling and exhaling. In and out. One more time on each side. And then closing. Opening up for our liver gallbladder exercise. Twist and release. A little wider is okay. Forefinger pointing inward, thumb pointing outward, settling into the space. Inhaling, turning to the left, allowing the breath to raise that shoulder, looking over it. And then exhaling, floating back to the center. Inhaling, turning to the right, continuing up with the shoulder, gazing down, and exhaling. Inhaling, allowing the breath, exhaling to lead the body. Inhaling. And exhaling, relaxing back to center. 2 more times on each side. Allowing the breath to move the body. And allowing the body to sink into the breath. Then from here, we're going to go ahead and open, hip width, shoulder width apart. If you haven't eaten today or if you have low blood pressure, you might want to move this standing form actually sitting. Same idea. You're simply you want the bottoms of your feet to be connected to the earth. And you're simply going to bend the knees a little bit, relaxing the knees, letting the tailbone sink into the body, sink down into the earth, allowing a little bit of space in the lumbar spine, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw. Tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. And on an inhale, we're sweeping the arms out to the sides, gathering the chi in front of the breastbone. The elbows are sinking down a little bit. The wrists are relaxed. The fingers are relaxed. A little bit of space between the fingers so that the chi can flow. And from here, you're either going to keep the eyes open in a soft gaze, or you can close the eyes. But the goal here is simply to breathe. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Letting the breath flow freely into the body, exiting just as freely. Allowing the chi and the breath to hold the body in its configuration, in this stance. And relaxing the mind so that all it needs to do is focus on the breath. Relaxing into the breath. Relaxing into the body. Allowing everything else to slip away. The mind starts traveling away, simply bring it back. The only thing you're required to do right now is just breathe. Excellent. All right, go ahead and bring the arms back down to the side. And close by bringing that left foot back to the right. Keeping the feet as close together as you can. Transferring some of that chi that you cultivated over the past 30 minutes into the palms. Placing the palms at the lower dantian. I'm not going to mirror you here. We're all going to go up the right and down the left 9 times. Using the mind's eye to start gathering all that chi that you've been working on cultivating. Guiding it to the lower dantian. That lower energy center. And then once you've done your 9 circles, go ahead and go in the opposite direction. We're condensing that chi now. Concentrating it so that we may store it in the lower dantian. Once you've done 9 circles, go ahead and rest the palms at the lower belly, closing the eyes. Inhaling through the nose, guiding the breath and the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up with energy. And then exhaling, simply allowing it to settle and store, so you may use it throughout the rest of your day. Inhaling, guiding the breath and the chi to the lower dantian. Exhaling, allowing the body and mind to rest and relax. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Happy Tuesday. We are going to be still concentrating on the Golden Eight and that series, but I am going to add in sometimes more still forms, more standing forms. I really believe that the movement forms of Qigong and then the more still forms, if you practice both of them, they help each other. It's a little bit like cross-training, right? Which athletes do, and all of us do, even artists. Like if you're an artist and you're a painter, you might also do gesture drawings or different types of drawings to increase your skill, increase your craft, and that's all I have to say. I'm going to stop talking now. So Henry, please answer questions for us and tell us how to make face masks.
Oh, hi, good morning. Hey, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for coming for practice. I'm going to talk about face masks today. I wasn't able to talk about it yesterday, unfortunately, because I had a leak in the house and had to go do some repairs in the morning before it becomes a lake in the house. Anyway, so, you know, they've been talking a lot about face masks and people have been talking about N95s, ideally. So N95s are these masks that are really more for like healthcare workers because people are going to see a lot more viruses face to face. Whereas what we're trying to do is mostly more of a practical perspective is to just make sure that, you know, when you're casually going by people, you have enough of a filter or a barrier that will protect you. Okay, so you're not dealing with like millions and millions of particles of viruses. You're probably dealing with a casual whiff and something like that. And the lucky thing about being in LA is that most of us don't actually see much of each other because we're mostly driving in our cars. So really the most common point of contact is probably when we're going out to the grocery store, we're standing in line, we're paying for our groceries at the cash register. So that's when you're really getting close to somebody. And actually, while we were talking about cash registers, try not to use cash if you can. That's actually when you're actually using the paper money and you're exchanging hands. That's one way which the virus can transfer. So I do recommend trying to use card or some sort of contactless payment system. That would be safer. But as always, you want to wash your hands. Okay, so we have a range of different ways that you can protect yourself. So I actually don't use these a lot, but I had some on hand because I did a lot of woodworking. We had some construction at the house, so I had some of these kind of lightly used ones at the house, but you probably don't have these. What you may have is toilet paper, but don't use this, okay? Toilet paper is very flimsy and it will break down really quick with moisture, and it's very thin. So you probably don't want to use this, okay? But if you run out of everything else, if you're one of those hoarders, you probably have a lot of toilet paper, so maybe you can consider this as a last resort. Okay, so what else might you have in the house? Okay, what I've seen on the internet, a sponge. I've seen someone with a sponge on their face. Okay, not so practical. Okay, one is having a barrier around your face, but the other is that you have a lot of holes all around you. So this doesn't really cover your face very well in terms of the size. So when you're breathing in, the air is going to come in through the side and that's not going to be filtered at all. So this is not so practical either, but it is good for washing dishes, maybe scrubbing the face, you know, if it gets really dirty. But otherwise, don't use this for a face mask either. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, so they do say dish towels are quite good. I think they're saying the filtration here is one of the, I mean, aside from surgical masks and N95 masks, things like that, dish towels I heard are pretty good. They're like in the high 80 percentile in terms of being able to catch these viruses. But these are a little bit hard to breathe. Okay, so I'm also looking at practicality versus like what's going to protect you the most. Again, most of us aren't going to be dealing with like, you know, face-to-face contact with people who are actively sick or coughing in your face, who are sneezing. So we're probably not dealing with those kind of situations. We're not in the hospital. If you're in the hospital, that's a different situation. And hopefully they're providing you with the real masks that are going to be helpful for that. situation. Okay, so dish towels, they are great. And if you have great lung capacity, you can breathe through this, that's awesome. But for most of us, it may be a little bit hard to breathe, okay? So there's other stuff like there's these bandanas you can use, okay? So you can look like a bandit while you're going out. So there's all kinds of cool designs, and so you can make it kind of fashionable as you do this. My hoodie has a built-in face mask, so this kind of works as well. So there's a lot of different options, right? And if you did any like painting and stuff, you might have one of these lying around the house. These are quite heavy duty and might be kind of scary looking, like, you know, zombie apocalypse type of stuff. So if you have one of these will work as well, although people will probably look at you kind of funny if you're walking around the street with this. I did see some people with this in Costco last week. Okay, so there's a lot of different options, what works. I want to share with you kind of some charts. Let's see here. Okay, so this kind of breaks down. So you can see on your screen some, you know, household materials that and how effective they are against 1 micron particles. And the reason why we say 1 micron, you know, the virus itself is actually quite small. It's like 0.01 micron in size, but it's never by itself. It's usually like when it's carried in the air, like for a sneeze or a cough, it's usually with your saliva. So the particles are much bigger than that. And that's why things like t-shirts and scarves do have some effectiveness. And you can see here, obviously surgical masks, 97%. Vacuum cleaner, I don't know how you're gonna put that on your face, but you can probably cut one up and put on your face, but that's also not so realistic or practical. You can see here, dish towels, about 83%, cotton blend t-shirt, 74%, 100% cotton t-shirt, 69%. So those we have around the house, those are probably more practical. A pillowcase, 65, scarf, 62, linen, that's quite an airy material, that's 60, and then the silk kind of material, 58. So you can see you have a lot of different options, okay? So, and they're all gonna be pretty effective. Main thing is, the other thing I have to talk to you about is, okay, so when people sneeze and when people cough, okay, these particles come out of your mouth, and some of those droplets, the bigger droplets, are gonna fall to the ground within about a minute. And so those things you don't have to worry about. What you do have to worry about is the tinier particles, those micro droplets that linger in the air. And there's actually a really good video out of Japan. They had like lasers and these like low light cameras, and they were able to like track what happens to all these different particles when you sneeze and when you cough. But not just that, also when you're just casually talking, you're actually generating particles, these micro droplets. So the really, really tiny particles, they will linger in the air, and they'll linger in the air for like 20 minutes or longer. So that's what you have to worry about most, because those things just stay around. And even if you're talking to somebody, and that's why social distancing is so important, is that when you're talking to somebody, you're probably just a few feet away and you're exchanging these different particles between you, and they just kind of linger, okay? It's not as bad if you're outside, because there's a lot of air circulation and diffusion. It's more of a concern if you're in a room or in an elevator or in a lobby where the air is not circulating very much. And in those kind of situations, those particles are just going to linger around. And so that's what you also want to be concerned about. And that's when you really want to wear the mask. Probably not when you're at home, but when you're out and about, I would probably keep one on all the time. Especially if you live in downtown, where you know you're sharing elevators, you're sharing hallways, you're sharing lobbies. You're going to encounter a lot more people, and you don't even know if perhaps someone sneezed a minute ago in the space that you're walking through. So those are definitely concerns. Let's see, what else? Okay. So wearing these masks is one thing, okay? Now, once you get home, you make sure you do proper maintenance, okay? The reason why you have a mask is that basically the droplets come and they hit your mask and they stay there, okay? Now, you have to consider that this is a dirty part of your mask. So if you start touching this and then you're rubbing your eyes, that's not good, okay? Basically, you just transferred the virus potentially from the mask to your eyes where it can go in. Same thing with your nose or your mouth. Now, I was actually at Trader Joe's the other day, and there was a woman who was waiting in line, and she was like this, okay? So that's not quite helpful because your nose is exposed, okay? So you really want to keep your mask on at all times. And some of the reasons why people do that is because they can't breathe very well through the mask. And that's why I recommend having a material that is breathable and comfortable for you. Because if you take it down, you're defeating the purpose of the mask. So there's some good link on the chat. So thank you for sharing that. So yes, so taking care of your mask, and the reason why cotton is great is because you can just throw it in a washer and wash it. You don't want to reuse your mask. So once you go out and it's dirty, when you get back home, throw it in the wash and wash and clean it so you can, next time you go out, you have it clean and ready again. So yeah, this one, any mask, you have to treat it as it's dirty. On the outside, make sure you don't touch your mask to your face. Always wash your hands even when you have your mask on. Okay, so I think that's all I have to cover for today. If there are any questions, I'm going to just open up the chat.
Hey, Henry.
Hello? Hi.
Hey, I got a quick question about masks. I happen to have.
Who is this?
It's Mike Cherney.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. Thank you, as always. I just wanted to ask you, I have some surgical masks, like the blue ones, just not the industrial strength ones. They seem to have a space around them, though, when you're wearing them, where you could breathe into stuff. I know you said like 97% for a surgical mask, but it seems like they're not totally like locked into your face. What do you think about it?
Yeah, so fit is important. And some of them have like a nose, like a metal thing around the nose so that it can shape around your face. But even then, like usually and you want to make sure that it's tied properly so that it has a nice fit around your face. So it does decrease how much gaps you have.
Got it.
But even with that, they say it's still effective. It may not be as effective as 97%, but it's still quite effective. It's more of a barrier in the front.
Great. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Definitely refer to that link Eliko shared on the chat. That actually links to the video, I believe, that I was mentioning. It's quite informative, it's quite short. But you see all these particles just lingering in the air and it's counting down like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and it's still there. It's crazy. And so that's what we have to worry about if you're going out. All right, cool. Well, thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another awesome Qigong practice. Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you all.